Hi, welcome back to Anthony Plays Cities. I'm Anthony, and this is my YouTube channel where we focus on Cities Skylines 1 console gameplay. And today, I want to introduce you guys to the city of Meadowbrook. This is the second city that we're going to be focusing on this channel to run in parallel with our other city, Piney Pass. Now, I didn't set out to do two cities, and I didn't set out to share this city ever as a YouTube series. In fact, this started out as something to spend my time on when I wasn't working on Piney Pass videos. But it got off to a really nice start. I'm really excited with what's happened with it so far, and so we're going to make it into our second series here on the channel, and I think it'll provide a really nice contrast to what we have going on over in Piney Pass. That one's a snowfall map. This one, as you can see, is not. And that might be as good a place as any to start with this, is just taking a look at the map that we're using here for Meadowbrook. So to get a good look at the map, we'll go ahead and roll up a new game. We're playing on the Land of the Isles map from the Map Pack 2 from content creator Sidai. This is a really cool map pack. It's available for, I believe, like $5 or $6. It's definitely worth picking up because these maps offer a lot of things that the maps from the base game and the other DLC expansions really don't. So as you can see, we've got all of our outside connections here and a fair amount of resources. So we'll jump into the game here and we'll make all 25 tiles unlockable, and we'll have them unlocked from the start, just so we can take a good look at what's going on with the map. Over in Meadowbrook, we're not playing like that. We're going through our milestones, but we will be building out to 25 tiles since I'm playing on the remastered version here. We'll also try to make it to where at 9 tiles we're at a reasonable stopping point where if that was the conclusion of the city, it would make sense. Just in case anybody's playing along on the old version, capped at 9 tiles, you can still build with us to there, stop, and it'll feel good, and then we'll push on to 25 tiles and completion. So the first thing that you can see here is one of the things that really jumps out about these maps from the content creator map packs, and that's that we have a really interesting interchange to start off with. Not just your basic cloverleaf or anything like that, but it's a little roundabout with a service interchange type of deal heading off in both directions over the highway. This is going to handle plenty of traffic and serve us well into the late game, whereas the original intersections on some of the base game maps really don't do that. Now let's go ahead and open up all 25 tiles just so we can take a look at everything that's going on here on the map. Another thing you can see here is that Sidai was seemingly very conscious of the 25 tile boundary when this map was designed. Once you unlock all 25, the buildable area makes sense. It doesn't seem like any good land is locked off to the 81 tile radius or there's any boundaries in the middle of things. You get basically the whole map here, this whole little island complex. And so you can see that there's a lot going on here. We've got beaches and plains, forests kind of dividing everything up. The highway here is really interesting, much more interesting than what you'll get on your base game maps. It kind of splits off both directions around some mountains. You've got a tunnel here where it splits again before it goes this really nice bridge going off the map, meets back up with a railroad that runs across the whole map and into our starting tile. Another thing that's great about this map and some others from the map pack is that you have railroads in your starting tiles. You don't see that in the base game. If we go ahead and take a look at our natural resources, you'll see that we've got absolutely plenty of everything on this map and that it's pretty evenly spread out. We're going to be able to place our industries where we want for the most part, and we're not going to be boxed into any corners with that. Alright, so now here we are in the actual city of Meadowbrook, which I need to rename here in the game. As you can see, it still says Lakefield. Our population is about 5,000 sims, and if I pull up our info views, I can see that our traffic is flowing at about 90% right now, which I'm really happy with at the beginning of the game. Let's take a quick look at this one spot and see if we can figure out what's going on here. I'll shut off this traffic light just because I don't think they flow well in the base game here. That other one's a stop sign, so I guess it's just flowing as intended, and that's why it's red. So we'll just leave that be for now and check on it later, maybe. So here's that beautifully decorated interchange that Sidai built for the entrance to the town here. And it has one of my favorite things about this map, and that's that The trees here really include everything in the game, and it makes sense with the vibe of this map. We've got palm trees, rhododendrons, flower trees, everything working together, and I think we're going to be able to use the whole toolkit, which is cool. Over this way, I've kind of hidden some of our service buildings to keep them away from the town. I think that this overpass over the highway kind of hides our power plant and our recycling center here. And you also see our first industrial area, which I might get rid of later. Moving away from the intersection and into the beginning of our town, I have this little commercial section with some parks. I think that it makes for, a nice slow introduction to the town, so it's not just like highway and then bam, housing. Generally you see something like this when you're coming off of the highway, so we'll incorporate that here. And as far as the housing in the original neighborhood, we're just going to go with the vanilla housing since that's what's available at the beginning. And I have and am going to continue to go ahead and let this level up. I usually mark old buildings historical because I don't always love the level 5 buildings, but I think they're going to fit the vibe that we're going for on this map. I've ran lots of paths in between all of the blocks here. They're decorated with different trees. This is something you'll see me do in a lot of builds. It's not necessarily representative of real life, but it looks nice here in the game, and I like to meet the game halfway between its mechanics, its aesthetics, and also trying to make the city look real. So we've got plenty of paths. And if we push up the main street into the north of town, we get to our first major build, which is this high school here. High schools in real life tend to be, several blocks large, not just one small building, so I try and incorporate a campus into my builds. We've used the high school from the Africa Miniature Pack, as well as a couple of sports stadiums from the, I think it's called the Sports Arenas Pack or something along those lines. Definitely worth picking up because they transform how you're able to decorate your cities. Another thing you see in high schools is that there's, often facilities surrounding the sports fields. It's not just a sports field in the school and that's it. There's concession stands, places to get something to eat, all of that stuff. So again, we've tried to incorporate that in our build here, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. And if you sit in the bleachers here and look out, you can see that we've got a pretty nice view here in our football field. I think that this whole thing works really nicely, and I'm really stoked about it. Over here on the west side of the campus, we've just used some nice big hardscape features as well as a couple of tennis courts. That's something I've incorporated from my high school, is just kind of how the tennis courts were laid out, just a couple of them in a complex away from the high school. So we'll bring that in here. And the final thing to wrap up our high school campus build here would be to give it a name. I have a naming convention in mind for this city, but I'm not going to tell you guys what it is right off the bat. I'm just going to see if anybody can figure it out and figure out why we're naming these districts and locations what we are. So we're going to go ahead and make a district here and change the name of our high school to Bruckman High. And to the west of Bruckman High, we have our first city park using the Park Life DLC. So I'm pretty happy with how this park turned out. I like this circle path in the middle. I've jammed a lot of assets in, but I think it looks nice. And I've put in the birdhouse from the zoo pack. This is something I lifted directly from an overcharged egg video, but it looked really nice there. It looks really nice here. I think it works, and you guys should check out his channel if you never have. It's really good stuff, and it's part of what really got me pushing to do better stuff with this game than I was. If we go down to the walk camera and walk around in the park, we can get a look at the ground level, and again, I'm really happy with this. This feels like a park. This is someplace you could imagine strolling through in a larger city. This is a good park, and I'm happy with it. Now, I'll rename the park, sticking with our mystery naming convention. Again, if you have any idea what I'm doing here, let me know in the comments. I think it would be really cool if someone figured this out. And this is now going to be Cooper Park, not Walnut Grounds. So we've got Cooper Park and Bruckman High now. Moving south from the park, you can see that I've worked in several other service assets like the bus depot and the library. We have our elder care and an elementary school. And then we get to these couple of blocks that I am really happy with, where I've worked in the pond park next to the sports hall and gymnasium. We have the taxi depot, a sidewalk restaurant, and the community pool before a block of a couple of parks that we've connected together with paths. This is just kind of a nice little complex where people can come and hang out at these parks. It makes our Sims healthier since we've got the 2 health assets there, the community pool and the sports hall and gymnasium. It just all works really nice together. And then on the other side of it is our Green Cities district, laid out similarly to our vanilla housing district, but we use different trees on the paths. And to cap this district off, because they needed some entertainment, we used the first unique building in this build, the Posh Mall, next to the Magica theme park. I'm glad to work that asset in because it's kind of a difficult one to make sense, but I think it does here. And next to that, from the shopping mall's content creator pack, we've got the open air mall. So we've got this nice little shopping entertainment complex here, nestled into the edge of our Green Cities district, and we'll give this a name now too. This doesn't really fit with our naming convention, but it makes sense with where this is geographically, so we're going to call this Cavernside Mall, and pretty soon here you'll see why it's Cavernside. On the other side of our Green Cities district, we have our first 2 hotels, and that's these old inns here. Now, I love and hate the hotels DLC. There's some really nice assets here, but I kind of dislike the way that they make you put them in contextually with certain other assets nearby, such as a bunch of shopping or sightseeing. At the same time, I like that it's a challenge to make them work mechanically and aesthetically. So those are both operating at 100%, and I think that they look nice with the trees all around them. And then down here on the beachfront, we've worked a few more hotels in with the cabins. I'm excited to get these hotels worked in early so that we can keep going with hotels throughout this build. And then over here we have a pier. This is not the assets I want to be there, but I wanted to get the pier in place, so we won't focus on that too much for now. Up north of town, we have our first Industries DLC industry, and that's this farm here. It's nothing too fancy at the moment, but it's getting the job done. I think that it fits in contextually into the city, running alongside the highway and alongside the train tracks here. It looks nice. It looks like where a real farm might be, and we'll keep growing it as we grow the city. Now, the final thing that we'll take a look at here today is this giant nature reserve. And when I say giant, I mean it's really big already, and we're going to keep making it bigger. This whole pond and river area didn't exist when we started. I built all of this with the terrain tools and props. I'm particularly happy with this section right here where I got the freshwater outlet flowing up against this cave, and to me it looks like the cave is feeding this whole thing, like it's a spring coming out of the cave. We've worked other caves into here. We have our observation decks. We're gonna run trails all around this area. And if we go again into our walk cam, you saw this view on the trailer for Meadowbrook. If you caught that on our channel, you can see what this all looks like from the view of the Sims. I think this is really, really cool. I'm super stoked with it, and I can't wait to keep building on it. If we zoom out, you can kind of see the larger area around here, and this is all pretty useless space for building anything besides a nature reserve, so we're going to make that all into nature reserve. It's going to be almost an entire tile by the time it's done. I'm excited to see what that looks like. I think that's going to be a feature of this channel, is just mega-sized terrain builds. Now, as our final step, again sticking with our mystery naming convention, we're going to give our nature reserve a new name, and this is going to be Kolchak Caverns. So again, we've got Kolchak Caverns, Cooper Park, and Brookman High. So if anybody can figure out why we're naming these things, what we're naming them, let me know in the comments. That's where we'll leave things off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this introduction to Meadowbrook. In the next episode for Meadowbrook, we're going to solve the worker shortage, push some more population into the town, as well as run some public transit. I think the next video to come out on the channel is probably not going to be Meadowbrook. We'll go back to Piney Pass. We'll just kind of alternate between the two. I'm also excited to actually get some building featured on this channel, and not just show you guys what I've built, but show you guys how I build it and build it all together. Picked up 8 subscribers already, which is great. I've done this whole YouTube thing before, and it's always a grind at the beginning to pick up any subscribers. So to the 8 of you that have subscribed to the channel already, thank you so much. That's awesome. Once again, want to remind everybody that we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/AnthonyPlaysCities. Check that out if you'd like to. I don't expect anybody to subscribe to that, but if you do, thank you so much. We'll use the money from that, at least at the beginning, to just keep pushing into things to make this channel better and better. Thank you so much for watching.